In the wilderness around Whispering Rock Psychic Summer Camp lies the geodesic psychoisolation chamber. Early on in the game, Maloof gets locked inside one of these cells by Bobby. Once Raz frees him, he explains how these psychoisolation chambers are sixth sensory deprivation tanks. They are designed to block out psychic powers in all of its forms. Based upon his reaction, this is pure torture for him. It is mentioned that the camp staff have not used them to punish the kids since the 50s. So when it is learned that another psycho-isolation chamber is just outside the mother lobe, the question is, why? What reason would an individual have to shut off their psychic abilities? Why would this technology even be developed in the first place? By looking at the current occupant of this place, we can get an idea. Enter Compton Boole. As one of the founding members of the Psychonauts, it is an odd sight to see him in self-imposed isolation. What led him to want to cut off his own abilities willingly? Rasputin's goal for meeting with the Broken Man is simply to gain access to the bowling league. However, by the end of his mental world, all of these questions will be answered. Upon reaching the outside of Compton's cell, Rasputin is met with the man playing chess with Harold the Rat. The Boole family are all accomplished in zoolingualism, or the ability to speak with animals. Their natural instincts become readable to those practiced in this ability. Hearing too many voices at once, though, can be a problem. Having Harold in the room is simple enough for Compton to handle. However, he becomes quickly overwhelmed the more people are in the room. The simple presence of Raz entering the room puts Compton on edge, feeling that just having one person there is too overwhelming for him. Before even going into his mind, we get a hint here of what plagues him. After the conversation shifts to his partner Cassie, he asks Raz to bring him a single bee from the woods so he can ask about her whereabouts. Unfortunately, 3 bees are returned.
I said one! I only needed 1 bee! Get out of here!
I got extra.
When Compton briefly exits the chamber and the voices of all 3 begin to buzz inside his head, the man collapses. It is at this point that Raz asks permission to head inside and perform a wellness check. With a side portal on his head, we dive into Compton's cook-off. Before entering the world proper, a new enemy type is introduced, the Judge. Self-judgment is a topic we have discussed previously during this series. In Gloria's Theater, we see this idea take the form of Jasper the Critic. Functionally, the Judge enemy type and Jasper serve a similar purpose, self-judgment. However, these mental constructs are created in opposite ways between Compton and Gloria. For the actress, the voices of people around her caused Jasper to form. Critics and audience members were vocal about her mistakes while on stage. The judgment originated outside of herself and was then internalized, from the outside to the inside. For Compton, his sense of self-judgment originated from within himself and was projected outward onto others around him, from the inside to the outside. We see this displayed as soon as the bell rings, and the show begins.
Compton? Anything but this.
Compton and Raz find themselves on a cooking game show. 3 sock puppet judges surround him, taking the forms of Hollis, Ford, and Otto. All are made huge, reflecting how he views them being larger than him in terms of competence and importance. Most likely, the design choice to make him shorter than all the others is intended to showcase how he sees himself, much, much smaller than other people. Compton's own self-doubt and judgment gets projected onto these figures, believing they are the ones judging him. This is a false belief. These are just sock puppets being animated by Compton's own hand, his own conscious action forcing them to speak negatively about him. In reality, these 3 do not think that way. By the end of the world, he takes the puppets off his hand and realizes the truth. That throughout this cooking show, he was belittling himself while believing they are the thoughts of others. Like shadow puppets on the wall, he is scaring himself. Self-judgment is not the long and short of Compton Boole. This is only a symptom of his problems. Let's explore more of his world before getting into it. Compton's cook-off is structured as a timed platforming challenge. The host of the show instructs the pair to collect all the ingredients and cook up a dish for the goat judges to consume. Preparing these ingredients involves hopping through the stage hazards while a timer ticks down. Cameras surround the stage, watching our every move. Judges look down upon us. The crowd is expecting a good show as the music plays. All of these external factors gives not only Compton, but the player a sense of anxiety about finishing the task in the designated time. It plays into a fear that a lot of us have experienced, being the center of attention. With all eyes on you, every imperfection is amplified and laid bare. Without giving the player a chance to acclimate to what the world demands of us, we are forced to rush into uncharted territories and perform, hearing the voice of the host commenting on our every move, our successes, and our failures in this challenge. With this, we have all the clues we need to address Compton's core issue: self-judgment, anxiety, and feeling relief when isolated away from others. Compton Boole experiences something that is relatively common called social anxiety disorder, otherwise known as social phobia. This is characterized by a persistent and exaggerated fear of social situations in which embarrassment or a negative judgment by others may cause significant distress. This can lead to avoidance of these situations, which impair an individual's social or professional development. It should be noted that everyone has a comfort zone that we feel uncomfortable about when leaving. Any new experience brings about a degree of anxiety. These circumstances can be distinguished from social phobia because they are situational rather than being an ever-present experience. Social anxiety disorder can be considered a chronic emotional disorder that finds a way to leak into various aspects of your life consistently. On the flip side, we can feel social anxiety when asked to give a speech in front of a class. However, the feeling is isolated to this one event. Therefore, it is not considered to be an emotional disorder. This is the reason Compton Boole checked himself into psychoisolation and never left. If being in the proximity of one boy and 3 small bees is enough to make him keel over in pain, imagine what walking into the mother lode would do to him. This seems like a good enough time to talk about isolation in general. Based upon your personality types, this can be a relaxing or lonely experience. For Compton, it is the only time he can truly relax. Those who are a little asocial can only deal with groups for a set time before they need to get away. Others thrive on it. For them, isolation can be a negative experience. Let's take Terrell, for example. Since rarely anyone comes to psychoisolation, her days are passed in silence and solitude. For an extroverted personality like her, this is near torture, the polar opposite of Compton's reaction. As a result, when Raz enters, she becomes rather overwhelming to deal with, constantly chattering, talking in an exaggerated way, overly excited just to have anyone there. This comes off as obnoxious, but this is the point. How the player in Raz reacts to Terrell is intended to be a reflection of how Compton views everyone else, overwhelming to deal with. Her inclusion here allows us to empathize with Compton, putting us in a similar state of mind before meeting him. Now we come to the question, what caused Compton's social phobia? There are a few primary factors that led to it, all of which can be found in his mental vaults. In I Was Only Trying to Help, we see the most important data point. Being an animal lover, Boole sneaks into a pet shop to free all the animals. All of them are overjoyed with their newfound freedom and mug him with affection. However, with all the voices and emotions swirling around, he became overwhelmed. This triggered his blastokinesis and nothing was left of the freed animals. This experience traumatized him. Even after being bailed out of prison by Ford Cruller, he never recovered. This mental vault is the primary reason he is in psychoisolation. It is not for his own sake, it is for the safety of others. He fears that if he goes out into the world and becomes overwhelmed, he will cause another explosion and more people will be caught in the blast. Because of this, he is in a spiral of fear and anxiety. Even if he wanted to be around a person, he fears to for this reason. The concern for their safety causes anxiety when others are around him. This makes him want to avoid people. And around we go ad infinitum. Despite this, proximity to his friend Cassie was enough to keep his mind in check. Whether this is due to her calming demeanor or him having an unconscious block with his blastokinesis when with her is not explained. There is precedence for the latter in the series. Back at Whispering Rock, a camper named Phoebe Love had a pyrokinetic compulsion. When she became overly excited, she would set things on fire at random. However, she explicitly states that she has a mental block about setting her friend Quentin on fire, so she spends all her time with him, feeling safe with him. This same relationship dynamic may be present for Compton and Cassie. Some of us are lucky there are people in our lives who soothe our mental anguish. Just being around them will lessen the burden of emotional distress. For those of us who don't, I'd take a tip from Hollis's hot streak and form a mental connection between help and winning. Sometimes the first step is understanding that we do not need to go through hard times alone. For the early days of the Psychonauts, Compton had Cassie as a support system. However, in the second mental vault, we see the support collapse. In the vault, Compton on his own, we witness the battle with Maligula. Compton recruits animals to assist in the battle. Unfortunately, all of them are swept away by a tidal wave and were lost. After this battle, the surviving members opened the mother lobe. Shortly after, Cassie left and went deep into the woods, never to be seen again. Left alone in his office, Compton reflects on all of his failures, the dead animals that are his fault, the self-judgment he imagines coming from the others, the angry roars of the beast he brought into battle, only to lose. It all became overwhelming. At this point, the fear of his blastokinesis surged into prominence. He checked himself into psychoisolation to quiet these voices, and at the same time, keep everyone safe from him. The failure who could kill the others if he was ever unable to keep us cool. All of these factors working together lead Compton to self-isolation. It became his only way to cope with the fear, anxiety, self-judgment, and trauma that plague him. Now that the game show has started and Raz is at his side, it is time to do something about it. The cooking show has several symbolic links to Compton's personality. Because of his animal-loving nature, the boiling water, blender, grill, and the knife are all themed after animals. It is also implied that cooking is something that Compton enjoys to do. During the mental vault slide of his office, one shelf has a rolling pin and a saucepan. This, combined with some of his dialogue while in the mental world, points to his interest in the culinary arts. For those who are conscious of it, cooking can be a form of meditation. After a long day's work, I enjoy coming home, putting on some music, and spending an hour preparing a meal. It provides an opportunity to tune out everything about the day and focus on a simple task. However, because of Compton's general anxiety and self-judgment, this act has been turned into a stressful activity rather than a relaxing one. Another example of the world reflecting his past is the first of 3 cooking challenges, the Grulovian drowned egg. While it is a simple reference to the battle with Maligula, there is another detail from the ingredients. The dish requires an outspoken egg and an unruly onion. Outspoken and unruly are characteristics that, from Maligula's perspective, could apply to the protesters, the same ones that she drowned during the deluge. The commercials showcase a connection to other members of the Psychic Six. Tin Can Crunch showcases Ford and is plagued by censors and a judge. The second cereal has Otto on the cover but showcases bees, which are linked to Cassie. This combat arena has regrets, censors, and a judge. It is apparent that the regrets of his prior actions and failures became a central point of his judgment, being so hard on himself that he believes everyone else sees him as possessing no value. On top of these symbolic links to his history and mental state, the cooking challenge itself provides some interesting advice on how to handle a stressful situation. Upon entering the level, the player is given a large jungle gym of deadly platforming to navigate. We have never seen this place before and do not yet know how to navigate it. Rather than giving us a moment to acclimate, the game puts a timer on the screen and tells us to hurry or the mystery box will be lost. No pressure, right? Uncharted territories are always a stressful thing. Imagine being dropped into a new city with no map, no phone, no GPS, and told you have to find a specific building in 10 minutes without asking for directions, or you lose a big prize. However, if you were asked to do the same thing in your hometown, this would not be a problem. Once you know how to navigate your surroundings, these tasks become easier and less stressful. During the first round of Ram It Down, Raz is in uncharted territories. Come the second round, he has a better lay of the land. This allows him to do more complicated dishes in less time. However, there are other things that make the challenge harder. The player is conditioned to want to collect all figments, mental vaults, and emotional baggage the moment we see them. Doing so, however, will slow us down and make it harder to beat the timer. Effective time management is key here. Trying to do 50 things at once means it is harder to accomplish the most important task. As the saying goes, if you chase 2 rabbits, you'll catch neither. Getting distracted by irrelevant tasks causes the important things to be neglected. Ignoring the collectibles for now and coming back to them later is the effective strategy. This is how Compton's cook-off is structured.
Agent Boole, an important thing to do when you're feeling overwhelmed is to take breaks.
After the first commercial break, the game gives us some free time in the level, an opportunity to explore, get the collectibles, learn the pathways, and practice how to navigate the traps. On top of this, new figments appear between each round. By collecting them during these breaks, Raz will discover new ways to traverse the level, which will shorten the travel time. This gives us an idea of what to expect next time, so we do not feel lost. The stress of the level comes from two things: trying to do too many things at once and the artificial time limit. Luckily, the time limit is largely a lie. After returning to the level, we can try the challenge again and get the mystery box. The anxiousness we feel was only a trick, and only in our heads. After each challenge, Compton becomes more and more confident. At first, relying solely on Raz to speak for him. By the time we get to the pancake dish, he speaks on his own, becoming more comfortable and able to deal with the anxious situation.
I couldn't have done it without this young man here.
No way! You can totally do this on your own now, Agent Boole.
Raz's comment places the suggestion that now the training wheels must come off. Compton must cook on his own. The boss fight with the gluttonous goats begins. However, the intern can still assist in collecting ingredients. As mentioned earlier, there is nothing wrong with asking for help. In the kitchen, nothing would get done if the chef had to do everything from unload the food, prepare the ingredients, cook the food, plate it, and serve the meal. Compton can focus on cooking the meals while Raz helps with everything else. During the boss fight, Compton gets the opportunity to literally shove his success down the judge's throat, forcing them to recognize his value in more ways than one. As each judge takes in too much, they explode, revealing the man's own hand. After the Battle of Grulovia, Compton Boole was left with a sense of failure and worthlessness. As the goat judges are removed, he is able to rediscover his own value, his own strengths. With the internal stressor gone, the kitchen can finally be cleaned up.
All right, everybody, let's clean up this mess.
Now Compton is able to handle the three voices of the bees and heads off to find his partner, Cassie. Before leaving, he gifts Rasputin with the bowling league pass. Now we can head back to the Mother Lobe and begin working on repairing the fractured mirror in Ford Cruller's mind. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, please drop a like and subscribe to receive updates on future uploads. If you would like to help support the channel, a Patreon has been set up and the link is in the description below. Have a great day and peace be with you all.